Mm. 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 Okay. Oh. Oh. Oh, I am absolutely fatigued from yesterday. Oh gosh, I was a lot of that's quite a bit of hours out yesterday. I didn't expect to be out at 9 hours, but oh gosh, somehow I did it. But somehow now I'm feeling feeling rough. Um, I'm only wanting to go out for a few hours, not 9 hours. No, that's not total 9 hours of cycling, but that's just 9 hours being out, and then that's no more different than being 9 hours indoors and doing whatever. Uh, there's no difference, though someone always, when they argue, say, "Hey, you want to get outdoors?" you know, I mean, going outdoors and then listening to the sound. I'm looking at the majestics and the beauties of the outdoors, all the green, the trees, everything, and then the sound that comes into it. The sound completely blows all these gimmicky, fad, fake, scamming, bloody, immersive BS audio completely out the water. If Dolby Labs want to keep claiming they got a 3D immersive format, yeah, right, okay. I think I think most of the public should, though, if you're very wise at listening, I think it's about time you just turn your back on it, because it is a waste of time buying these bloody discs. Because most people hardly go to the cinema now. You go to a and if you go to a cinema, it's no more different than if you go on a dubbing stage, because it's the same bloody thing. It's the same gimmick, you know. Dolby Labs make this thing. It's the size of it and everything, and it goes into a dub stage, and they, they just connect up, all these speakers overhead, and add on extra speakers down the sidewalls, on the back, in the corners. Oh, as if that's going to make an immersive sound. Oh, not to mention, depending on the screen, some screens may have only typical LCR. Some may have 5 screen. And yet there's no big deal. You know, you, it's strange. Dolby Labs want to put left center, right center back in, since they took an axe to it in the 1970s and eliminated the left center, right center for so you can have a 5 screen directional sound moving across the screen. I think the last such movie might have been Logan's Run, 1976. Um, hmm. And then STDS, Sony, in the early 90s, they bring 8 channel to the market, and then with left center, right center being placed back in. But that 5 screen is outdated. It goes all the way back to the late 1950s. Oh dear. In this day and age of sophisticated, well, I wouldn't say maybe there are some listeners even back in the 1950s and 60s, very few that were sophisticated at listening. Doesn't mean just because everything's the word digital and meaning, oh yeah, you're a sophisticated listener. That's total BS. Um, it's only You could have done this way back in the 1950s. Could have done not just 6 track, because it's possible to use what they have in the machine room, or you just have additional magnetic track things. They're big reels, and they go and they play separate soundtracks. So the film itself doesn't have any soundtrack on it, and they're big machines, and they just synchronize the the framing, and the time. And when they start it up, it plays in sync. Of course, if the film were to get damaged, you're gonna have to make some. I don't know if you have to make some cuts on the actual. What's it? Anyway, it's possible that you could have they could have expanded that to 12 channel, and then 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and then expand it to 18 channel, and so on and so on. But the size of the whole thing, the whole rig, those big machines were very large, and the size of the magnetic film on the reels. Oh dear, very large, very heavy. I don't know why all this money comes into the equations, but anyway, uh, I'll just say it. Very extremely, it would be extreme expensive. Um, but now, digital, makes things, oh, not to mention there's so many moving parts on it as well that need to be maintained and cleaned and aligned. But with digital comes along, there's hardly any moving parts. It's just data. It's stored on, well, relatively, I suppose, very small devices, and yeah, and it plays back. Um, in some part ways, a bit more affordable, and the size of it is a little bit smaller in size as well. I mean, compared to something that was years ago, though rarely now they still use the magnetic, or they use a time code sort of film print. Depends, you know. Um, but anyway, all this Atmos and all its storage, and the all the mixing on the dubby stages, and the dub stages. Oh dear. Dolby Labs themselves, they're a waste of time. They are a waste of time. They are 12 years a waste of my listening time. I go outdoors, I'm cycling around, I've got my cat bear in front of me. We're going along the promenade, and there's little bits of sand still, on the promenade. Yeah. And when the wheels go over the sand, it makes this gritty sound, and I can hear it literally below me. I don't hear it in front of me. I don't hear it at ear height. My ears and our minds are very clever, and I detect the sound below. Even if I was blindfolded, I'll still notice, that's coming from below me. I don't know how far below me, because you wouldn't have a visual reference because you're blindfolded. But you do know it's coming down at this angle, or you hear something at this angle or that angle, from the side, or this angle. It varies. Our hearing is very damn clever. And all this bullshit about this binaural, I mean, it's okay. I wouldn't mind if it was completely used to record, and then you got to mix it and take and extract sound, because you can't just play it back and then think, oh yeah, it sounds like it's coming from below or above me. It will still be coming directly in our ears at this angle. It's not going to fool our mind and think, unless you using phasing and anti-polarity to create some, but it still wouldn't. This Atmos thing is, and dtsx is, it's a waste of time. I mean, Atmos is about like that. DDS is like that. It probably hasn't got many legs to stand on, and it'll probably go kaput. No one's interested in it. No one's interested in the Limax enhancement and the Disney Plus. No one cares anymore. You know, it's going to frizzle out. Not my words. DDS is going to frizzle out. Oh dear. And then lastly, Dolby will be just probably be hanging in there on a thread or standing on extreme thin ice and trying to hold their atmos together within the market and still bullshit people out there. Yeah, it's not nice to be bullshitted. You know, they're Dolby Atmos, Dolby Labs, they're worse than politicians. Because when you think about it, all this sound codec and all these sound formats, it is sound politics. It's like when you got people saying, "Oh wow, I like DDS," and "Oh no, DDS sucks." Oh, Dolby Digital's. It's sound politics, and most of these people that think, "Oh yeah, that blah blah blah." Oh, don't forget, you're a Star Wars fan, yeah? And so you heard Dolby Stereo. So you're going to say now, oh, Dolby, it sucks. And you're a Star Wars fan. Yeah, got you there, didn't I? Um, you know, if you were to mix um, the play so that the playback for Dolby Digital and DTS, you can mix them so they're literally almost probably sound transparent. Um, and you think, oh, well, the only difference with SRD is it's on film, it's optically printed, and yes, now and then you get error readings. That's because it's getting dirty and dust on it. Yeah. And when the difference with DTS, it's just a disc and it's just a digital light, no, on a laser, and then hits the disc and then comes back down. All the ones and zeros are decoded just the same as Dolby Digital, only it doesn't have much error readings. Although, what if the disc were to get scratched? You know, it's like to say you trade one artifact off for another artifact. The disc is still could get easily get damaged. Um, Sony SDDS. Its digital trackers on the outside, left and right. It's 4 channels on the left side, 4 channels on the right side. Goes into the Sony decoder. It's got 2 chips, one for left, one for right side, and then it goes all through the processor, and then you get 8 channels. But that's even more susceptible to damage. Um, it's got to be handled extremely careful, just as if it was 70 millimeter 6-track mag, because that could get damaged. Optical discs that we have, laser discs, VHS tape. Yeah, I mean, though the tape VHS or Betamax, there's a little cover that you hold the tape and you put your finger one side and then you can flip the the cover up to protect that's protecting the magnetic tape. Compact tapes, CCC compact cassettes, they're relatively safe, but both those formats um, are susceptible that could be damaged with magnetic field and could get erased or such. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, optical. I mean, blue 4K disc. Oh, it's a rubbish format. If it just got a teeny scratch in a certain angle on that disc, when that laser hits it, boom, it's going to show like an error reading, and you get loads of pixels. It might freeze up the disc, and basically, there's no point trying to buff it. you might as well throw the disc away and get another one. So there's £20 thrown away, and you got to spend another £20. Yeah, it's a total scam. So I see some people where they handle the discs. They just take them out the tray and then they throw them on top of the player. Take the other disc out, put it in. Whoa, 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 whoa! That's not how you do it. You're supposed to take the disc out and then put it back in its case. Otherwise, there's dust and all sorts of things on the surface of that player, and it's going to get stuck onto that disc, and then yeah. But it doesn't really matter because there's dust floating around in a room. So dust is getting into that case. You put the disc in, therefore that disc is coming down into the case, and so it's pushing dust down in a small, very small, turbulent wind air that you can't really see unless you've got a laser or some very bright light, and then you'd be able to see. Oh, you'd be able to see this dust moving around in a different. But that would get, you take the disc out sometimes, you look at it very carefully. If you're in a room that's, well, not every home's got a white room now. um, well, then you wouldn't see any dust anyway. Anyway, um, you don't get much error readings unless the disc is knackered and scratched. Just like 35 mil, if you could keep it, if you set it all up and lace it in it all, threading it and lacing it, and keep the film relatively clean. They say that film could, or SRD could play for so many, before it actually does the digital track might start having major snags, and that's when you get another film print, because it's played so many times, which is a lot more than 70 millimeter, because 70 millimeter can only play so many times, and then the magnetic tracks will wear out. Yeah. Anyway. So as for this, being out yesterday and hearing all the sound, doesn't it doesn't pick up very well on my phone camera, the stereo sound sort of thing. It's okay, but I stopped by this amusement arcade thing down on the promenade, and the way the sound was coming toward me from the arcade, because there was the ground level and then the floor and then the ceiling, and it was very narrow, and this had this uniform wall of sound that I could hear all the different machines and all that playing far back and up here and then a little bit over this way, and people walking around, and I can hear all their footsteps on the ground level. I don't hear their footsteps up here. I hear it down at this angle where the sand is on the on the promenade, and I hear all this gritty sand sound and this and depending on what footwear they're wearing, and I might hear some shoes or flip flops or sneakers. People jogging and all that. I hear all these footsteps at a below angle. If they're coming from behind me slightly, it sounds like, because of the directionality, this sounds like it's a little bit above about this height level, but slightly behind me, distant, approaching until it goes right past me. Then I notice then the feet going along at below angle, going along, and then slightly up in front of me. And as it gets more distant away, further away, the sound dissipates. Plus, there's other people walking around, they're talking, there's a little wind breeze, there's seagull sounds. Um, There's ocean sound, maybe over to my left side, depending on which way I'm cycling. So if I'm heading westerly direction, the ocean's going to be on my left side. If I'm heading back east direction, the ocean's going to be on my right side. I hear all that. I hear people playing on the sand, children laughing and all that. I hear all these details, and yet you come to an Atmos movie. Oh, it is an absolute bore feast. It is a waste of my listening time. Not to mention, I think the mixers must be thinking, "Oh wow, this is great what we're doing," and someone else might be thinking, "God Almighty, this is a load of rubbish," and probably doesn't even want to speak out and say, "Hey guys, come on, this is a load of rubbish." Dolby Labs, they give us this, we put it in the dub stage, and it can only do what it's only designed to do what it's designed to do. And Dolby Atmos is a waste of bloody time. DDSX is no more better. That's a total, utter, beyond waste of time. You're not going to get immersed. Most people, if you think you're getting them, you want to step outdoor, you want to step outside of your home theater and go and take a bloody stroll and a walk and listen to the real world. Because then you're going to say, "Oh yeah, my home theater, it sucks." Because you spent all that money on a total big gimmick. I spent all that. I mean, a Storm audio processor, for God's sakes. Load of rubbish. A Dolby CP850, load of rubbish. CP950 and 950A, load of rubbish. The more things change, the more they sound and remain the same. Gimmick. You gotta have a cluster field of bloody speakers. I mean it. Oh, that might sound stupid, but you listen to the real world. There are no speakers. It's just we or nature that's flying around, and it produces sound that is unparalleled. It can't be matched. You Dolby Atmos cannot equal the sound of reality. It's impossible. And I'll say that again, it's impossible. You've got stupid speakers stuck on walls, stuck in front of the room, LCR. You know what they're doing? They're just basically creating little hotspots of sound. I stand and listening. I've got this in the video, and I'll be loading up my videos of yesterday. I've got bundles of yesterday. And I listened to the Chain Ferry. I'm down at Sandbanks Chain Ferry, and I'm listening to the ocean waves moving around and the current moving, everything. People casting their fishing lines out, and you hear a little whip sound, but I can't hear the detail of the monofilament line on the reel going like it's saying Star Trek 4. Okay, there's a scene where it's off screen, it's panned, you hear a sound of a fishing line go, and then you hear the float going plop into the water. I, I just burst out laughing because that float would be many yards out in that bay with the sound of those waves that are moving. It would be virtually impossible to hear that float going plop. It is such a ridiculous, pathetic sound effects editing and mixing. Oh, because when the camera is moving by and then you see the two fishermen, right? You look very carefully. You can see the angle of their fishing line. One fishing line looks like it's going down pretty steep into the bay, and there's hardly any water there because the water is a little bit out a little bit, and that fishing line is going to be laying on rocks. The other fishing line's at a bit of different angle, and that might be slightly in the water, but it's fake because it's sound effects added. But it's such bad sound continuity to the picture. It is terrible continuity, and that is something that should stick out like a sore thumb, but it's so tiny. But I notice I've done beach casting myself, and it is impossible to hear a bloody float being whipped when you do it. And I usually would hear the one filament line because it would be near to my ears, and I would hear this slight for a few seconds, and the weight, the bait, and the float going at so many miles per hour, and then lands out into the ocean, whether it be on a pier. Oh no, you wouldn't hear that float going plop in the water. It's impossible. The only thing I can, because of my eyesight's still a little bit. Mm, I'm hoping my eyesight's going to recover from this bloody insulin bloody thing. Um, I only caught where where the fishing line was cast out yesterday, and I just saw it go a little splash in the water, but I couldn't hear that little splash. It's many yards out. There's wind blowing around. It causes audio frequency masking effect, and that is all the bullshit that these mixers, they just don't put enough detail in. They make these atmos mixes sound so synthetic. They got they're so lifeless, soulless. They got no character to it. And and going back to Star Trek 4, it, where that scene of Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock are walking along with the Golden Gate in the back. Oh, that LCR mix is absolutely terrible. The dialogue level's a little bit too loud. The sound of the seagulls are on the left and right channel. There's nothing going on in the surround. There's no atmosphere. There's no seagulls flying around. Oh, total waste of time. And the sound, it sounds like production sound being in the center channel, and it just doesn't match with the left and right. The atmospherics, the balance, the consistency of that balance is complete train wreck. No wonder it lost the Academy Award for Best Sound. Because that is not what I was hearing down at Sandbanks. I hear a smooth, uniform, consistent sound. And it is literally so individual with each wave that's moving around. And it's like, I'm saying in the video, it's like, which would be loaded up probably sometime in the day. How LCR or five screen chats, five screen, there's still little gaps in between. And don't forget, a speaker is a speaker. A speaker is really pathetic. It could be JBL, and that's top of the food. That's on the top of the food chain. Then you got all these other makes that are like, bloody, I've never heard of RTJ, JTR. If they were so good, they would be on dub stages and cinemas. Yeah, so I suppose their marketplace is very limited to, its audience out there, and they're very overpriced, and it's cheaper to go on eBay and get some secondhand JBL cinema speakers. Not even half the price of those speakers. You get them really cheap, and you got the real deal, the real McCoy. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Don't have to buy wisdom speakers as well. Oh, only rich people buy that because they're deluded. And yet they probably are not very technical, minded with sound and everything else that goes with it. I think the screen channels today, they have to be literally updated. I mean, to fill that screen area, literally, depending on how long how long, like I say, is a piece of bloody string? How long is a piece of string? How many blimmin' speakers? So you got to have something very sophisticated, speaker technology sort of thing that it knows. Yeah, because the same thing on a dub stage, they would have to have the same cluster of speakers going, and sound atmospherics can move and flow, though very, very hard to detect in reality, but it is there. If it's wind and you notice the movement, plus you've got to have a cluster of the same for the floor, the walls, everything. Cluster. And it's all got to be hidden. You can't you, hidden behind fabric so you don't see that. Because once you see it, that's the game of this immersive illusion is completely diminished. You look at these stupid dub stages and their budget on those studios, oh, they got more budget than we have. And yet, why do they display all those speakers? It doesn't make sense. They should be hidden. They're hidden behind the screen. So why don't they just do the same with all the rather than making it look like some half-ass 1970s bloody discotheque with bloody speakers hanging on the bloody ceiling? Oh yeah, hanging on the ceiling or in the corners of the room. Oh, I've seen it. And they got all this disco atmos crap, like, oh, hear it at a nightclub. Oh god. You wouldn't really anyone goes to one of those places ain't gonna bloody care. One sodding bit. Just as many idiots that go to concerts, live concerts, yelling, screaming, shouting, whistling, why don't they shut the fuck up and just listen to the concert? It's the attitude of ego and yeah, if it's a live actual orchestra playing, everybody shuts up and they listen. If it's pop rock music, everyone's screaming and shouting. If they listen to that music, that same track, although it's not the same because the production mix for that album is total opposite to, you know, because the timings and everything would be slightly different. But you listen to it at home, does everybody start yelling and screaming and shouting and whistling? No, they listen to it. Amazing. And they're probably not pissed drunk as well. And they're listening to it, only listening at very loud levels because they're trying to replicate something like, um, yeah, total waste of time. It's a total bloody gimmick. I'm just here to basically blow the whistle on it. I listen to the real world and I think, wow, why can't they mix it like this? Why can't they just that Atmos thing? I tell you, if it were a Mark II version to come along and it's going to do it without bullshit, without too much bullshit, it's going to have a cluster of speakers and it's going to be universal on every AV or AVP. There's no going to be watering it down, compromising. Otherwise, what's the point? It's like you look at all these pathetic AVRs on the market. Oh, it's 7.2, 7.72.1, 72.4, 72 point whatever. It should all be universally the same because with reality, there is no point this, point that. It is presented to us how it is. And we got to create a sound format to be successful. And Dolby Atmos is no by means a successful format. Oh, it might be just because in a it's in the ahead of the other competitions, but it's not a successful format. It is fad. It's fake gimmick, and I'm so bloody bored listening to mine. Even if I do a matrix below surround, it can only do certain things. It can't do it all. Um, And I'm just going to keep making videos like this until, it really pisses off industrialists. Most that are affiliated and they're basically a bunch of shills, or it pisses off Dolby Labs. Because how do you think I feel? I feel pissed off. I feel cheated. I feel like I've been cheated. And all of you out there should feel the same. You should feel like you're being cheated, conned into a scam. It's like all these people that go around and say, "Hey, I'm doing trading and I can show you how you could be a millionaire in about a couple of months." Oh yeah, right, sure. Yeah, Atmos comes along. Hey, we got an immersive sound. It's brilliant. It's better than Dolby Digital. Yeah, right, sure it is. um, I've gone back to listening to basically Dolby Stereo mixes, or Dolby Stereo could be optical mixes, discrete 6-channel mixes, um, and those mixes, though they're captured digitally, they're all magnetic recordings, unlike today where it's all digital file thing, Pro Tools, and you give them too much sophistication today, and people are absolutely bloody clueless on how to mix it. Will create anything that create a wow, total blimmin' wow psychoacoustic effect. And I listened to some music, Pink Floyd, The Wall of the Dark Moon, or whatever it's bloody called. Load of rubbish. Ugh. I don't think I want to buy anything Jean Michel Jarre, though I like his music. I don't think I want to buy any of his rubbish in Atmos, because I think it'll be just thumbs down. Though I could listen to the 2-channel version and I can hear the instruments moving, and I could think, oh yeah, you take that instrument and then flow that musical sound, that rhythm, and then flow it downward and then move it below the floor, and then come back and then come back round, and then just before it hits the midpoint and then spreads out. Do creative things to create, oh wow, and keeping things moving and swirling around. When you listen to that do 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 whoosh, do 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 do, and you can have all these, moving, because those musical tones are really little, well, like little objects. Oh yeah, objects. Yeah, Atmos. Atmos. On the you're on the bed, sleeping, and you're dreaming about objects floating around. Objects floating around. Which is true. I mean, seagulls are little objects, but there's so many of them flying around. It doesn't mean they're always flying around. They could be standing on the promenade, on the sand, and I hear things at this low angle and above and moving and distant. And I tell you, aeroplane sound effects in Atmos mixes, they don't sound very realistic. Oh, they're total waste of time. The film editing is a load of rubbish on films. It's too quick. So you cut. How the bloody hell are you supposed to sound and mix edit to all that rubbish? I mean, it's like you got your dicks out and you're masturbating to a load of crappy Atmos. Oh, it's a waste of time. Much prefer. Oh dear. I mean, we do recordings on our little phones and such, and make sure you keep your phone in landscape horizontal mode, please. Not upright. Oh, for please, God's sakes. Um, you the sound that you're hearing it and think, yeah, I could look, even if it was mono, and I'll be able to look at someone's video and I know exactly where those sounds are coming from, because I can associate myself with it. I'm familiar with that sort of scenery and such. But, you got a movie, it's got all this scenery, but then they can't sound mix to that. They can't put a decent sound mix to it to save their life. It's a total waste of time because all the soundtracks are completely fabricated. And if they miss out certain details, trained ears like mine or someone else is going to pick it out and then say, yeah, it's flawed. But we are all aware it's all fabricated, you know. They might as well just use the production sound, quiet on set, we're filming, and just use the bloody production sound. Um, and I'm sick and tired of hearing all these stupid Atmos movies where, oh, I tell you, I could pick 50 titles out that would probably sound absolute effing flawed, and particularly crowd scenes. And when you listen to the crowd on the LCR, does it sound realistic? Hmm? And then take a damn good listen to the surround speakers. If they got any crowd sound effects on it, does it have the same level of sound as the LCR? No, it's a little bit quieter, and it sounds like they're coming across from the road. What? Oh dear. You know, when I was down on the promenade yesterday, I could hear this music playing, and I couldn't localize its position because of the distance, how far away I was, and it had this very wide sort of sound. And as I got nearer and closer and closer and closer to it, and then I thought, oh right, I know where it's coming from now. It's coming from this little cafe restaurant that was kind of partly on the promenade and on the beach on the sand to my right side, heading easterly direction, and it would be on my right side. um, and then as I looked around a little bit, then I saw two PA speakers sat on top of the roof. It was not a very not high roof. It's probably a roof only probably about 12 feet high. And then there was these PA speakers on it, and they were facing in the opposite direction. So that's why I only heard a bass boom boom sound, because the bass is omnidirectional. It goes around. I couldn't hear too much of the HF sound, even though there will be little reflections towards the pier. So the restaurant was about, so let's see, this is the pier, and this will be um, the restaurant. So the sound was partly reflecting on parts of the pier. That would be some parts of the mid-range frequencies and such, or highs or whatever, and the low frequencies would just go uniformly around, because that's how, I mean, when you measure it with a microphone, you got a 50 hertz bass and such, it would just be completely omnidirectional all around, and other 60s and 80s and so on and so on. Yeah, it was playing only a modest SPL level, I would say, not very deafening loud. And I could hear all the crowd and moving around me and everything, and all directional sound. Yeah, you listen on some stupid rubbish Atmos movie, Marvel, DC, garbage, trash, superhero rubbish. And you got crowd scenes. Does it sound like you're actually there? No, of course it doesn't. Uh, uh, Yeah. I might as well leave the video short. I'm going to go up to about an hour and then I'm going to stop it. And then I'll come back maybe later in the day and I'm going to roast Dolby Atmos, DDS, whatever. I'm going to roast it again. And I'll just keep on roasting it, blowing the whistle on it until a lot of you out there get it in your head that, yeah, it is fake. It is a gimmick. Walk around your room. You hear your footsteps below you. If you got a pair of slippers on, or if you're barefoot and you're rubbing your foot against, you hear that position, that sound below you. You don't hear it up at ear height, though your ears are up here, but you hear the angle coming from below you. If you put a sprinkle some, if you got a ceramic kitchen floor or something, sprinkle a little bit of sugar on the floor and then step on it. It makes a different sound frequency, and then you hear it below you. You also hear reflections as well, depending on the kitchen. And you'd be hearing reflections. You'd be hearing a direct sound below and reflections. Mark my words. Do you hear that in an Atmos movie mix? Nope. It sounds like when actors are walking around, it sounds like they got the bloody shoe stuck in their mouth. Oh, whoo, wee, that smells. That's what it sounds like to me. The sounds of the Foley and all that are up here. You got an actor walks in, waist and at a waistline, and you just see, part of them, and they're moving around, and yet their feet sounds are up here. The Foley. Oh dear, what a waste of time. Even the Foley's absolutely terrible on film mixes. It's so lifeless. It's so plastic, synthetic. It's got no. And the Foley, they're working so hard at doing their work. Oh yeah. And then they want to appear on videos on YouTube, like, oh, I'm a Foley artist. Oh, I was a Foley. I'm retired now. Oh, big deal. I mean, you got all those tracks saved and such, and you could remix it, only do it a whole lot better than the original mix, keeping the integrity of the original mix, but doing it a whole lot better. Oh, of course they don't want to do that, when they create an upmix of an Atmos movie. Oh, believe me, it's even more fake and gimmick than an actual native mix. Total waste of time. You can't really mix something in a mix and then create some sort of kind of an illusion like something on the LCR channels. It appears to have a downward angle sound. That might be in the bass range or something, because the way bass sounds tend to move around a little bit, and certain mid frequencies on a HF could have a similar appearance, but when you get up to very high frequencies, they're a little bit more directional. um so gosh, what type of speakers behind the screen? They got to be also produce bass, sufficient good bass, and be directional. And literally, putting them side by side, um it's not impossible. It's just that no one wants to do it. It's as simple as that. They don't want to do it. They want to keep it plastic with hotspot sound. They just want to keep it that way. They don't want to make it, say, my way, which will be a lot damn better than what I've been bloody listening to for the past 11 years, 12 years, 12 years. Getting on almost 13. You know what that means? It means that I don't think they're going to make, if they make a Mark II version and up, you know, that's going to piss a lot of people off because everyone's going to have to change out all their processors. You got to think, oh gosh, we got to make a way so it can complement. It could be an add-on, and it's going to it's going to do exactly what, hey, Mr. Andy wants, and it's going to do, as well as other people out there as well. They're thinking the same bloody thing. It needs more speakers. Though it sounds ridiculous, but hey, but the speakers at the end of the day are going to be on the walls and everything, everywhere. All the, you know, the boundary services within the room. Yet real life sound can be um, distant up there, and it comes up to you and talks, and it can move around you like that, really close. It could whisper to you even. Atmos or film mixes, doesn't matter which, it can't do that. It's impossible. It's impossible. Otherwise, if it's a sort of whispering sound, the whole audience is going to hear. It's not like, oh, one person in the audience only hears that whisper. Just as if you were in a cinema and you start whispering to someone, the few people in front of you and behind you and to the side you, depending how far back they are, and what is playing in the film soundtrack will cause you have masking effects and such. But no, generally they wouldn't hear. It's as simple as that. That's 101 on psychoacoustics and shit. You don't get all this information on the Youth Man channel or the spare change Shane Lee, whatever he is. Bloody, he's affiliated. Audioholics. Oh, waste of time. Keep on listening. Oh dear. Yeah, just please. I can't stand all these BSing YouTube channels that are, you know, it's not as if to be anti. No, it's to want a little bit of better truth in the sound. Though it was still, at the end of the day, it would never, ever, ever, ever match reality. But at least the multitudes of speakers, and then you could do certain things with psychoacoustics with some sounds panning away from the front and then coming along the floor, and then do some with some sounds above or such. You could create a phantom sound image that may appear like it is kind of in front of you, sort of thing, but it'd be invisible. It'd be just a psycho acoustic phantom sound, so to speak. That's doable, but very complex to mix. And to do something like that, I guarantee you, I promise you, they won't be pumping out Atmos mixes like they do like Coca-Cola cans or bottles. They won't be pumping it out at that rate. It will be pumped out at a very small rate because it would take them literally maybe a year to mix it. Just as if a film takes, you know, you got to get everything, you know, finalized, and then you got to think, crikey, you know, oh dear, oh, I don't like this film editing, you know. The film editing has got to change. It's got to change. You can't have all this quick boom, 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 boom going on. You got to design a film so that the storyboarding, and you got to say, right, this scene has got to last this amount of many more seconds, not too short like all the other crappy movies. It's got to be a little bit, you know. It's like when you watch that stupid racing sport, Formula One. You got all these racing cars going around, and then sometimes you see the cameras switching to different drivers, and you see all these different POVs and where the cameras are all placed around the vehicle, which I find interesting because you usually don't see those position angles and such. And um, I suppose with sport as such, you could say select a motorists that you want to watch, by selecting, and then be able to watch and say, oh, I want to see the rear view of the vehicle, not the driver, the rear view point of view, or maybe the front at a very low angle. So they got cameras, so it's like the vehicle's racing along the track, and you can see the speed it's going at, and you see all the road surface textures moving by like light speed. You see all that whoosh, whoosh, whoosh effect so fast. Yeah, that's what movies are like. They just cut, 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 cut to this bloody scene, like Biggs in the bloody X-wing fighter, and back to Luke's bloody Scott. Oh, bloody hell, does my head in. I don't really care about the Biggs guy. He got blown to smithereens by Darth Vader. Um, um, yeah, it's like you want to cut to one of the TIE fighter pilots flying, watch his point of view in the movie. Oh yeah, it's all doable to do all this shit, But the film editing has got to change, because how the heck are you supposed to, I mean, I look at Aliens in some part of the film where Sigourney Weaver, the Ripley character, is going in to save Newt, going down in the elevator, and then she comes down and then walking around and everything. That scene where she's walking around and going down steps and down to different, that is not bad. That's pretty good in the editing, and the sound mix into it is pretty damn good. It's films like, they need to hold that, so you could put this in. I mean, I think that the Dolby Stereo on Aliens is far better than Dolby Atmos mixes. Why is that? It's strange, isn't it? Strange. And it's got screaming sounds or dialogue pans in it that move around sometimes. Mostly in it sometimes, like when they find the nest, and all the Marines are all getting picked off one by one by one. Yeah, all the scream sounds panning and such. That's usually typically over the screen channels, but there's nothing going on in the surrounds. If they done a little bit of that and make it a little bit, like, oh wow, you're looking around, participating in the auditorium, listening to the sound mix. You still got one eye on the screen, but there's no image back here and such. But I can mentally put an image in. I paste it in. There's not many people that could probably do that, so I've still got one eye because I've seen the visual, and I imagine it, there, up here, and wherever, I imagine it. But there's still a lot missing. There's no below surround. You remember, Sully, when I promised to stop the video at 1 hour? Yeah, that's right, Matrix. I lied. Ooh la la! I've got to load another video up in a moment, because I think the other video's loaded up. I think it was about 40 minutes long. Yeah. I only wanted to be out for about a couple of hours yesterday. Crikey, I'm out for 9 hours. Oh, my cat Bear. I tell you, my cat Bear's got the right stuff. Because hey, I took him out a few times, so he could sit on a bench or on a table at a restaurant. Yeah, he was he's still a bit nervous. He trembles because of the environment of the sounds. But he handles it. He takes it pretty well. Magic, he wouldn't like it too much at all. So Magic's only been out on the bike my bike, I think 2-3 times. I think. Bear, he's been out. Oh gosh, I don't know how many times now. More than 10 times, I think. Now he's been out on the bike. I wanted to get a bike years ago. I would have took my cat Sooty out. I could have changed the course of everything, and Sooty would still be with me. Instead, his ashes are over there now because of 2020. The lies and the minutiae and the bullshit, fog and lies of the government. And my poor cat Sooty's up there because of lies of the government and all this panic and fear of COVID. I swear, mark my words, I bet the British government ordered veterinarians, if pets come in and they look sort of poorly or whatever, put them down. Because you couldn't go in to examine when they're examining the pet. You had to wait in a car park. Oh, you could still wear a bloody mask and still say, hey, but that's my pet. That's my family. And then they come back and say, "Oh, we got bad news. Your cat's got something on his lungs. We can't cure it." That's bullshit. I totally, utterly forgot that my poor Sooty, you had a history of urine blockage, and he was trying to relieve himself. Because if he'd been given the medication, he will be well within 48 hours. It'd be at least urinate in about less than 24 hours, but within 48, it'd be fit as a fiddle. Anyway. And then we get all the lies and bullshit of Dolby Laboratories. Oh, it's immersive format. Yeah, right, sure it is, Dolby Labs. Prove it then. Swear on your children's lives that it's an immersive three-dimensional format. They can't. They can't prove it. You got that stupid renderer thing that you can go and purchase. Oh yeah, it looks like the thing is moving around the floor. No, it's not. It's up at this height level. And then the sound goes from there up to the ceiling and then back down. And that is all it can do. Can't do anything more. You can mix within all those channels, anti-plurality, have it with a decoder, and then you'd hear sounds below, but it'd be matrixed. But at least you'd be hearing sounds below. But no one wants to do that, aren't they? They're not, all these mixers out there, they're not very creative thinking. Crikey. Keep mixing it, keep mixing your techno daddy, keep mixing your music there up to there, because you know what? That sounds bloody dull and boring. You want to redesign the bloody damn thing, or at least trade off some of the discrete channels for up here and stick them on the floor and then start mixing. Though it'll only be very hotspotty sounds, it won't be uniform, like we hear in reality. We can hear sounds slightly distant, and they sound very mono-ish. That's how they would be. What was it yesterday? What else was I listening to yesterday? I think it was the Chain Fairy, and as it gets nearer to the where the ramp comes down, conk, conk, and then the cars come off it and then go onto that ramp and they go conk, 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 because the ramp is slightly tapping against the, so you got the slipway coming down here into the water, and then the ramp is there, and then as the vehicles are getting off, they're just the ramp is slightly tapping the ground and then go conk, 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 conk. Interesting. When I was over at Harry Rocks, that's probably about 3 miles away from where the Chain Ferry is, and it's got a nice sight line over the bay, over the ocean, over the English Channel, um, and I can hear that distant in the background, very steady breeze blowing around. This was last year, and I could just hear that thump, conk. And I was thinking, that's incredible. I'm at least 3 miles away, and yet I can hear that sound. I can't pinpoint the visual because it's a little bit difficult to pinpoint the visual. If I had a pair of binoculars, I'd be, oh yeah, it's there. Um, but I could hear the sound. Um, but anyway, when the chain ferry started to go back out again, you hear all the, the sound of like here, clonk, 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 and other sort of sounds. And then as it gradually moves out over to the other side, the sound gets like there, small. It doesn't sound stereo-ish anymore because it's distant and it sounds like a mono hotspot object that's very distant um, on the other side. Um, hmm. It's interesting. Spoke to a few people yesterday. One guy was flying his drone around, and it could go up to a pretty high altitude. Um, and it was a pretty expensive drone, about two grand worth of drone. You got to be kidding me! I thought £450 was maybe affordable, but I'm thinking about getting one of those drones so it can follow me when I go out on the bike. But that's just some sort of maybe expensive gimmick because I think, oh, what if suddenly it malfunctions and it's behind me and there's so much traffic noise around me and I don't hear it go hitting the ground because it will be too much masking effect. And I notice my camera, like, oh, the image has got, and I think, look round. Oh no, it's on the road surface, and a car goes over it. Oh no, nah. Plus, I've heard them in some other videos, and it's like, I think, frankly, I don't think I want that ruckus surrounding me going around. It sounds too loud. I don't want that. I like what it can do visually. I just don't want to hear that ruckus. Um, so yeah, £450, pass. um, I just want to put a little bit better cameras around the bike. I was also thinking of putting yesterday. I was thinking, gosh, I've gone out yesterday. I could have took my digital recorder with me. It's a little Zoom digital recorder. It could do stereo or it could do 4 channel recording. I need an additional portable batteried audio mixer to connect onto it, so it could provide phantom power for 4 microphones. But I was looking at the bike and thinking, okay, I got the spokes, and then you got the wheel in between. And I was thinking, what if I would have put some very clever microphones attached onto the spokes, bit of cable ties to hold it on, and then those microphones come down so low, so close, almost close to the ground, not too close. So it's picking up the sound of the wheel from the front, the back, and capturing the detail of the when going along the promenade, and it'll pick up the detail of the sand going over the sand. You'd hear that sound, that gritty sound that I hear, that I'm associated with hearing it below me in front of the wheel. I don't usually pick up the one at the back, but I usually focus it on at the front. And I could have that recording. I don't intend to do sound mixing again. I've not done it. I've not used the Cubase since 2003, I think, at college. It's music sound technology it was. I've got no intent in doing mixing again. But if I had the tracks on the computer, and then I can have oh, oh fucking hell. I think I'm gonna come down with a bloody cold from yesterday. I can have other tracks that would be more or less like ear height. Um, Sort of maybe side to side sounds, and then other sounds that are slightly in front, and other sounds behind, and something above. So basic for 2 channel stereo. Got a phantom sound there as well. Phantom sound. Um, 2 in front, 1, 2, phantom sound. Above, that's 4. Left to right, 5 and 6. 7 and 8 behind, and below, 9 and 10, and maybe a little bit more. Just a little bit more, just yeah. And then I need to mix that, balance the levels and all that, EQ. Oh gosh, that could take days. And then needs to be on some sort of file, digital, and it's got to play back on the system, on my system. Totally different. So it'll be playing back discreetly. I was just sort of thinking if I had loads of Tascam 4-track tape players, so you record 4 tracks onto the tape, compact tape, that is, CC compact cassette. You can have 4 tracks playing in one direction. So you get 30 minutes or 40, whatever, depending on the tape running time. Yeah, I could have, yes. I could do it easily with that. And then it's turning all the players on. They all got to turn on, boom, at the same time, synchronized. But do it digitally, yeah. What would I need? I'd probably, it probably costs too much money to buy the what's it, because it need to have multi-channel with multi-channel output. And I want to do it so it's not encoded, so it's just going to play raw as it is, and then just, and then got to have an image with it as well. So whatever I got on camera, video, and I've got to time code it, so it'd have to be time coded, so it plays in sync. Yeah, that would be just basic. That would be just basic, but still there'll be phantom sounds. There'd be speakers sounding like hotspots, but it would sound a lot better than some of this Atmos rubbish that I've been listening to. And all that needs is then it needs to be expanded so that additional sounds can, fill the room and be uniform. It'd be the same if you put clusters of speakers in a room, you play pink noise, you start it up very, very softly on the level, because you've got so many speakers, and when you got all the amplifiers to it as well. Oh, good gosh! If I were to get if you were to give me a dimensions of your room, and then I'll start looking through all the different selections of affordable speaker drivers that you could put in within that room, literally floor, walls, ceiling, you name it. It would be quite expensive on the speaker side, though it'd still be cheap than these stupid wisdom speakers, because that's a snob market for the rich people, okay? And they market that crap like with the delusion or the illusion of delusion And rich people, oh well, yeah, oh God, that's got to be great. They don't know jack shit about the specifications. Oh, because when you look at those stupid wisdom speakers, the stupid price they are, and the stupid pathetic frequency response it's got, big deal. What so what if that speaker could go above 20,000 kilohertz? Big deal. We can't even hear that. There's a thing called an X curve on film soundtracks, and frequencies on the high free are going to be rolled off. Music, on the other hand, music mixing is totally different. It doesn't use an X curve. So generally they mix flat, but it's still going to have a cutoff. It's not going to go above 20,000 kilohertz. Not unless Jean Bajaljar is using some harmonics or something to go well. That's only going to entertain dogs, cats, and a pet bat stuck on your ceiling, hanging on your ceiling. That's all it's going to entertain. It won't entertain us. Oh, at most, our hearing range on the high end only hears about approximately up to about 8,000 kilohertz. You got to do special frequency adjustments on your speakers, and you got to be extremely careful that you don't knacker your speakers. That you could just about hear a sine, well, these like they sound like sine wave tones or such in science fiction movies or whatever, and they're about 10 kilohertz or 12 kilohertz, maybe 14 kilohertz, or very rarely 18,000 kilohertz. And that is about it. And then it all goes down to these stupid wisdom speakers. Oh, they start rolling off at 50 hertz or something. Oh my goodness. And you look how pathetic the size these speakers are. Like in this new video on Youth Man channel, goes to this saloon home theater, wisdom speakers. Yeah, just like that other guy that's got the $1 million Star Wars. You look at those rooms. Oh my goodness, atrocious. I bet if you go in that room, clap your hand, you start hearing echo reflections. Oh yeah, way to go. Yeah, $1 million well worth spent. It's not absorbed because they want to show off a Star Wars or some Western theme. And the Western one and the Star Wars look absolutely. The wall surfaces are not exactly the same. So when the high frequencies reflect on that, it's going to create a holy bloody sounding mess. Oh dear. Yeah. You see, if you don't talk to these people that do the install, they're going to design a room that's going to be absolutely sound. It's going to be poorly sounding. And you spent all that money on it. Oh gosh, you're not going to get a refund on that. I can tell you that. You're not going to get your money back on that. Oh dear. But you listen to real world sound. There are a lot of objects around. There are a lot of things that could reflect sounds and all that. But in a fabricated world with all this bullshit atmos, it's got to be perfect. Oh, but it ain't perfect. It's far from perfect. Atmos is just adding on speakers to the blow. And so what? Big deal. They can pan sound now through the surround channels. Because I always sounded like that with Dolby Stereo, and it was a sort of a delay Hass effect, they call it. And it always appeared where I was sat in the auditorium, like the sound was going from one speaker to the other along the surround array. But it wasn't. When I saw Roger Rabbit at the Odeon, screen number 2 at Bournemouth, that auditorium again, the surround speakers were laid out along the side walls, back wall, and they had about 6 speakers also fitted in the ceiling. So it's creating additional sound. field around the within the auditorium. But there was a short video before the main feature, Roger Rabbit. It was a very short cartoon one. And there's a scene where the Roger Rabbit is running around the kitchen doing this circling thing, and you hear this circling effect moving around the surround speakers. Sort of, it's a mono matrix signal, so it's panning in and out, in and out, in and out, sort of thing, going along the street, the LCR, and it created this illusion like the rabbit was going from one speaker to the next, but it wasn't. It was just an illusion. But today, yes, they can pan that sound along in the speakers, or place a sound in a specific area, and the sound will come from that area on the walls. I noticed this with, at least I noticed with the Storm Audio, I noticed that some sounds sometimes, there's something missing. And they should have had some atmospheric sound going on those surround speakers. Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. They should have new breed of supervising editor or something that says, this is how you should be doing it, mixers. You deviate from it, I'm going to slap your hand with a ruler, okay? And you're going to learn, okay? Do it right, because we can't bullshit the public. And then they'll get better at it, when they start messing up and they get a slap on the wrist. Hey, I told you. There should be a new rule book, because the old rule book, throw it out the window, because it's no use with Atmos now, is it? But so many mixers have spent too many decades, and they're too associated. It's like an old habit. It's like bad habits die hard. They're so used to that. And when it comes to the Atmos, oh gosh, they're a little bit clueless. Oh, how should we use it? How should we use it? You got to sit in a room, look at the dailies and all that, what is there, and draw illustrations, come up with ideas, concepts on how to do this, and create some creativity of artisticness. Because I heard quite a bit of that artisticness in Dolby Stereo mixes. I mean, wow, that's pretty damn good. But when they tried doing it with Atmos, oh, it's boring. They can't, create a sound so it comes from the sides or the back and flows upward with, I don't know. It sounds synthetic. There's elements of sound that's missing, and like an aeroplane taking off. Aeroplanes, the airport is only that way. That way's east. That way is west. Behind me, south. In front of me, north. Literally. So when I can hear an airplane just taking off, and once it's above a certain altitude and still moving, and then I start hearing the engines, the whining sound on those engines. And then if I was outdoors, I would hear that airplane moving up and up and up. I would be hearing a sound duration time of several minutes. Oh, and it's stupid Atmos fucking movie. Oh, it's only a few seconds. Huh? What? That's not immersive audio. A few bloody seconds. That takes the piss, that does. Just so they can sell some crappy movie to make some bloody box office. Make it for 200 million. Oh, that's a gamble. We hope we make 1.5 million, or maybe 3 million, and then it'll blow James Cameron's Avatar out the water. And yet it's a load of woke crap in visual, acting, woke music, woke bloody atmos mixing. Oh, it's total woke. And it barely does what it's promised in the predictions, in the gross, and bombs at the box office. Ugh. Yeah, you think, oh, no new movies coming out. Oh wow, it's a new Alien movie coming out. Oh, it's in Atmos. Oh, Romeos. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. Yeah, I bet that movie bombs. No one cares about Alien anymore. You know, they turn it into a bloody crap feast with Predator and the Alien versus and all the other rubbish, Predators and Predator Recce and Predator goes to McDonald's and Predator goes to Burger King and Predator goes to KFC. Oh, for fuck's sake. No one cares about the Predator or the fucking Alien anymore. I bet the movie bombs. Though it's going to be well, let me see. Let me see. What's its budget? If it's a very low budget, it probably stand a good chance. If it's pretty high, but then if it sucks or looks crap and doesn't match continuity with the 1970s and 80s, then it's going to suck like those Ridley Scott ones. Those prequel Aliens, the visual art decoration doesn't really fit in with the continuity of the and they got all these stupid 3D graphic displays. It doesn't fit in. It's completely out of continuity with the other movies. It's a visual distraction. Okay, Wikipedia. Oh, bloody hell, turn that brightness down. Oh, bloody hell, it's blinding me that. There's no budget. They haven't got a listing here. Yeah, they haven't got a listing here yet for the budget. But it's another stupid thing with a stupid poster of face hugger. Like, oh yeah, and what's this movie going to be rated? What's the rating going to be? Is it released yet, or it's going to be soon? And no, it's going to be it's an R rating in the US. Oh wow, it's not like a PG-13 or something, but an R rating equivalent to the UK used to be an 18 certificate. But I guarantee when that gets to the UK, it'll be probably, I don't know, is it playing now? I don't really care. I do not really care. I'm not going to see it. Don't care for it anymore. I don't care for the Alien anymore. Click on the year date. It's released in August. Hang on. Release date. Italy, France. Oh, look at more. Oh, this is in August. Oh, right. Well, that's interesting because I think my cousin's coming down in August. My cousin's coming down. That's if she wants to come down again. Go out for fish and chips. Don't think we'll go Harvester. I think Harvester sucks. Harvester's okay, but their fish and chips, it sucks. Yeah, this is August. United Kingdom, August 16th. United States, August 16th. Oh, right. So it'd be, because usually the release dates are usually a day apart sometimes. USA might get it and the UK gets it, but anyway, I don't care for it. Not interested. Oh, what's the running time incidentally on it? That's if the running time is finalised, because they probably not got everything finalised yet, because August is many months away. Probably still in post. Probably still in post. 20th. Oh no. 20th Century Studios, Disney. No. Brandy wine. Are they still doing brandy wine? You can't drink that shit. Yeah. It's in scope. It's in scope. Technical details. Dolby crap moss. Dolby gimmick moss. Yeah. That's going to be really exciting. Not. I'd rather you should all stay at home and avoid it. Turn your back on it, let it flop. It'll be on, and I guarantee it's going to be on Amazon Prime or whatever within about 4 or 5 months' time. Of course, you got to pay for it. But if you wait about a year or so, you'd be able to see it on Amazon for free. Yeah. Alien Romeo's. It'll be a Dolby fail. Yeah, not interested. I'll be maybe going out a little bit more on the bike, maybe. Go past the Odeon downtown and totally avoid it. If I was to go back in that cinema and do some test again, it would only be to do test checks with the SPL meter, get as much sound on the phone as I can possibly get, because the sound playback is not too bad, at the recording level. And just see how atrociously bad the SPL levels in the dBA range. Because it sounds so unnatural. The iSense, they market it. I'll say I got plenty of video where I go to the BH2, and you see my videos, and basically, if I am naturally disappointed, it does not sound lifelike sound. It's just sheer deafening. I got to wear earplugs. Fucking hell, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I listen to real world sound, and there's a tremendous amount of it around me. Do I need to wear earplugs? Do any of us need to wear earplugs? The answer is no. I did see yesterday with this guy. He was showing me these glasses, his sunglasses. I don't usually wear glasses. I might get some. Maybe not what he had, but they were pretty good. But I might get some glasses because it is very fatiguing looking at all that bright luminance level that would make an OLED look like a piece of garbage trash with all this stupid nit brightness, whatever. Because you're still, at the end of the day, you're looking at a small screen on a wall, and it's only about that size compared to your actual wall, which is pretty damn large. You might as well just use a video projector and think, you got an image there, that's good enough. It's not reality, but at the end of the day, a video projector doesn't weigh as heavy as an OLED. You try putting an OLED up on the wall by yourself, it's impossible. You need someone to assist you. They're too damn heavy to pick up. Yeah, a video projector is a lot easier. Yeah, I saw a funny video where they're trying to pick up this video and make the video look all wow. It's a rich person's snobby home cinema, and it took four people to pick this fucking plastic fucking video projector. The video projector is a little bit larger than mine. I could have picked that thing up myself and put it on a bloody. Oh, it's four people, really. I've never seen anything like it. Mostly that projector is made of plastic. There's only very few parts in it are going to be heavy. You can easily pick it up. Bloody bunch of weaklings. That's what it is. Oh dear. But it does take really two people to align it to, so you got one person looking in a room saying, yeah, a little bit less this and moving it very carefully, so until you got it lined up. Unless you got two port windows in a room, yeah. Because usually when you set a video projector up behind a wall, you've only got one port window. You need two port windows so you can look through and then adjust the alignment and so until it's absolutely spot on. My video projector's not exactly perfect because the light's got to be going spot on to that screen, and because it's tilted slightly, it bows the image slightly, and there's not much there I can do to correct it. Even with the keystone, it's pretty useless. But as long as I've got an image there, it's going from almost wall to wall. I don't really care. As long as there's speakers behind it and it's matching and doing it like a cinema. But um, incidentally, as for the speakers, they like again, there are little hot spots there, and the screen is only 120 inches, and I got 5 screen speakers behind that. Most home theaters with a 120-inch or even a little bit larger, like Wisdom Audio, that guy, it's got his saloon, it's 20 foot wide, big deal. I've worked at UCI cinemas, Warner Brothers. I projected on screens far larger than his bloody home. Big deal, 20 foot. Been there, done it. Don't really care for it anymore. Don't care for cinema anymore. Yeah, bloody hell, he's only got 3 speakers behind that screen. What a waste. No 5 screen? Oh, and that a guy, the Star Wars one, he's got a Trinov. Yeah, he's not got 5 screen speakers. Oh, what a waste. So Star Wars. So, oh yeah, can you play the Baby Boom channel on channel 2 and 4? The answer is no. Because you wouldn't be able to design that into a Storm audio processor. Though that's not true. You can design but it's it's a little bit tricky to do it, so that you basically divert the sub bass, the LFE, into channel 2 and 4. And that's how Star Wars was with 70 millimeter. Close Encounters did it by putting sub bass speakers separate below the screen. Though there's no pictures of it, just what I read in a old newsletter of, don't know where that newsletter is. It's somewhere on the internet. Yeah. Millionaires. Oh dear. You think they got a luxury atmos theatre? Oh dear, if you were to tell them the truth. Oh dear, they're probably screaming for their money back. Oh yeah, those home integrators are laughing all the way to the bank. Oh dear. And yet they know it's bullshit. And yet they try to sell that crap. Dear, oh dear. If gravity had a discrete below surround, that movie would be pretty damn decent. I mean, the dialogue panning, the sounds, the timbre matching on the dialogue pans were pretty damn good. But it's all fabricated sound at the end of the day. um, but it was very well crafted. If it had a discrete below surround, it would have been a lot more better. And then you get the other movie that comes along, and can they match Gravity? Could they equal the the sound design? It's not all directors the same. It's like that director that does that Blade Runner. Um, what was it? 11 minutes or 2 minutes to 9 o'clock or whatever that movie was. 2100 hours or 48 hour or whatever it was. Load of rubbish, that movie. Hans Zimmer music. Blech, garbage trash. And any Dune movies, Hans Zimmer music. Blech, garbage trash again. It's just bloody noise. That's all I can hear on the screen. Noise, not artisticness, noise. And usually the word noise, when a re-recording mixer hears that being boom, your mix was noise. It was noise, noise. That I've read somewhere would be very offending word to a mixer. Yeah, your mix was noise, noisy. It wasn't artistic, it was just noise. That's all I heard at the cinema at the BH2, screen number 9. Noise. There was no participation with that mix. It was bloody boring. And that was 7.1. Oh dear. I can only imagine it. Atmos in screen 10 being a little bit more deafening than screen 9. Because screen 9 was, oh, bloody earplugs. It was just atrocious. I don't know who's doing the bloody setting these bloody cinemas up now with, you know, the sound systems, and then the other guy comes in and does I don't know who they are, but I think they should quit and go and work for Burger King, flipping burgers, because they are a complete waste of my time. Maybe not to the rest of the public because they don't know the damn difference. You got an auditorium that's got an NC rating of whatever, NC 30, NC 25. Is it necessary to play that crap at that deafening level? And they can't even use any creativity in thinking. They're not very creative mind in thinking. Like, oh, let's put some speakers in the floor and we'll try using some matrixing technique or whatever, with additional decoders connected onto that pathetic Dolby CP850, and do something a little bit different and see if the audience notices it. But, when you start seeing speakers around an auditorium or in a home, yeah, it's not an illusion. I say, I'm looking at hot spots on on the ceiling, on the walls. If I, just hot spots. Play around with speaker and pink noise. Put them close to close, side by side by side by side. You start hearing the difference, and so the sound obviously it multiplies 3 dB, 3 dB, and so on. And then after all you've done all that, then you've got to reduce the level down because you're watching it on the SBL meter, the RTA, and then reduce it down to a comfortable level. It's trial and error. It takes a long time to do it. It's not Arc, Genesis, Dirac, crappy EQ. It's none of that. It's a little bit more complicated. And once you've got all the levels balanced out, and then you play the whole cluster at, say, a comfortable, so the fader level still have to go up to 0, which is, they say, number 7, 85 dB, or you think that's going to be a little bit maybe too much. Okay, we'll set the gain levels on everything, on the gain levels, and set them down a little bit lower, so the fader or the volume level is still at the same level, and you adjust the gain levels until but it's a little bit more than that, and so forth. And you got that stupid X curve. I think they should throw that X curve out the window. It's it's preposterous to roll off bloody high frequencies. Though CP850 comes with free EQs. You got X curve, you got customize, and you got, I think there's something else there, another type of frequency curve. So you follow you output the sound, and then you just adjust the frequencies to follow this, and of course that's a lot of trial and error, moving the microphone around, double checking just to make sure, because you might sometimes think, could be a null or peak or whatever going on, and move them up and think, it's a bit of trial and error, and of course, like I say, every speaker it's got to be tested to make sure it's spot on. So you got to get it flat, literally, at first. You got to put the microphone close to that speaker, put pink noise for it, and you can see how crooked that frequency response looks on the mid-range, the high range, or a typical two-way speaker, or a HF horn that can do mid frequencies up to high frequency, but it's very, very, very choppy. It's up and down all over the place. It doesn't look even, and then you got to flatten it out, and that's where the EQ comes. It's like sandpaper. You got a crooked piece of wood. You want it smooth. You got to sand it, blow, put the spirit level, check. Oh no, still a little bit out of place. Rub it a little bit there. Put the spirit. Oh, spot on. But sandpaper is cheap. EQs are not. They market these EQs like they're luxury. They're not luxury. It's just a bloody tool, but that tool should be a little bit more affordable so it can sell like hotcakes. Because sandpaper, believe me, I think they sell more bloody sandpaper than they do with Arc Genesis and bloody Dirac Live. Dirac, all that crap, that doesn't, it probably makes that amount of money. Sandpaper is like that. They sell a lot of it. And it's a tool to correcting things. Oh dear. Really makes me angry. That the bullshit all around, and all of you lot. Oh dear. If you think you want to keep your Atmos, and you think, oh, it's great, I like my Atmos. Oh, I like hearing those sounds overhead. Which sounds? Which ones are they? This other guy does videos. I can tell that he's really into his Atmos, and oh dear, I think the hook is stuck in him. He's really hooked on it. But he doesn't realize it is bad. It's fake. It's a gimmick. It's like, oh, there's a jet airplane taking off. I hear the sound coming from the window, but the airplane's over in that direction. It's coming along this way. There's a house outside, right? There's a house outside. Now, if I step outside, I can hear the sound reflecting onto the brick wall. Now the aeroplane now is about this position, and it's gradually inclining. going upward. It'll eventually turn slightly north direction. It'll roll your pitch and slightly turn to north direction. And then it'll probably go up a little bit higher, and it might circle around and maybe head easterly direction. I don't know. I don't really care. Yeah, I can hear the aft. I can hear the aft part of the engines now, where it's got a bit more of a roar. You hear the whiny sound. That's the front part of the engine, and then as it turns around, then you hear the aft as the thrust coming from the back of the engine. You don't hear that much in Atmos mixes. Stupid Tom Cruise's Maverick. Oh, bore feast that is. That is a total Atmos train wreck. Dear, please. Oh dear, I couldn't bother putting that movie on ever again. I might as well just smash it up with a hammer and throw it in the bin, because it is terrible. It's got terrible color, picture quality. It is dreadful. And they made that film out to be the feel-good movie of the year. There's nothing feel-good about it. It's just military people blowing people to kingdom come. It's nothing more than death and destruction. Boring. Like, oh, proper. Oh, here we go again. It's another proper bloody propaganda piece of crap, like the first Top Gun movie. Like, oh yeah, look at all this bullshit. Oh dear. Yeah, hello. Oh boy, almost 2 hours. Blimey, that's like a running time of a feature movie. Maybe I'll do it 7 hours, like that bloody what's that movie called? Napoleon. How can you watch a movie for 7 hours? How could I do a video ranting for 24 hours sometimes? How could I do that? I got so much negativity in me because of all the bullshit, so-called positivity, and I see through it that it's bullshit, and therefore get negative waves, because I'm naturally disappointed. Oh, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably quit in the moment. Nothing much more to say, is there? Atmos is gimmick. It's garbage. It's rubbish. You might as well just drag it out. Take that Atmos Trinov, whatever, throw it into a rubbish bin bag and drag it out, and just leave it next to the bins, and then the garbage men will come around and throw that in. And then it goes down to the tip, and then someone will open the bag and find the Trinov and think, what's this? And someone will look at it and I don't know what it is. And another guy, do you know what this is? I have no idea. Looks like a piece of hi-fi rubbish to me. I'm not interested. Let's throw it over there, or we'll take it to this container and put it in there. That's usually what happens to all that rubbish. They go into these specific containers, electronics, or washing machines and refrigerators, TVs. you know, that got broken screens, and you know, you can only go in there and get it and take spare parts off of it. Yeah, spare change, spare parts. Um, mm. Is a Trinov better than a Storm Audio? No, it's not. It's just more. You could expand that thing up to 64 channel. Big deal. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. My CB radio can do just over 360 channels. Um, and it doesn't cost much, and it's very small. And yet it's got a lot of channels, lot of frequencies. Mm. 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 All right. On 3. 1.